projects like this where they're highly regarded and beloved from 2013, and you get a sequel and it's just not what you wanted. It's just, I wish people would be better to each other, but that is asking too much. Now, we also had a very unusual circumstance where Rob Zacny of Vice wrote a review for the game, which wasn't super favorable. Didn't really enjoy the game that much. But a representative of Sony, representing Naughty Dog, reached out to him over on Twitter, through DM, I believe, and more or less said they felt as though some of the things mentioned in the review weren't fair criticisms, and they didn't acknowledge the more meaningful changes of the game. And Rob said it wasn't a confrontational interaction, but rather it was just a very unusual one. Now, it's not uncommon for publishers or developers or any PR people to reach out to people that have done reviews, but that's usually for something more factual, like something factually was wrong in the review, or something that is going to be fixed, or something that's been fixed and the review copy was a earlier attachment or something like that. But this was a very odd circumstance that was publicized. And once again, another layer of just not a good look from Sony, not a good look from Naughty Dog. Some people didn't like the game. It's something that Sony and Naughty Dog have to deal with. And clearly the game is a massive success anyway, selling over 4 million copies in 3 days, making it the fastest selling PS4 exclusive ever, and it's surely going to hit over 10 million in its lifetime, no doubt. But going back to that interview with Reggie Fils-Aimé and Harold, another thing that Neil would stand that was publicized is once again another layer of just not a good look from Sony, not a good look from Naughty Dog. Some people didn't like the game. It's something that Sony and Naughty Dog have to deal with. And clearly the game is a massive success anyway, selling over 4 million copies in 3 days, making it the fastest selling PS4 exclusive ever, and it's
4 million copies in 3 days, making it the fastest selling PS4 exclusive ever. Did he say PS4 exclusive or PlayStation in general? Maybe just on the PS4.
Going back to that interview with Reggie Fils-Aimé and Harold, another thing that Neil was touching on was PlayStation 5, how Naughty Dog have to deal with. And clearly the game is a massive success anyway, selling over 4 million copies in 3 days, making it the fastest selling PS4 exclusive ever, and it's surely going to hit over 10 million in its lifetime, no doubt. But going back to that interview with Reggie Fils-Aimé and Harold, another thing that Neil was touching on was PlayStation 5, how the Naughty Dog team will be looking forward to the new hardware. So he had this to say: "You always feel like you're pushing against a bunch of walls and finding little cracks where you can and take things a little further, whether it's memory or CPU, hard drive speed. When you start a new generation, it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you have to build new tech for the new hardware, and that can be an uphill battle. But on the other hand, all of a sudden you feel this freedom of, oh my god, we can breathe again." He goes on to say, "We do so much work on our end. Once you start the adventure, you never see a load screen, and there's so much work that happens behind the scenes of how we design levels, how we chop them up. It's all invisible to the player. You never see any of that work, but now, knowing that we're going to be able to load things more quickly, it just means that designers don't have to be constrained by how they lay things out, how we think about things when we load new characters, so I'm excited to see the doors open for us." Now that last paragraph I really want to highlight. If you remember, we did a video about PS5's SSD and SSDs in general, how they change game design. One thing I really tried to stress in that video was developers for decades have done a very good job at managing these constraints with memory, and whether that looks like a long corridor or an elevator ride or something like that, right? It's still often hidden. There's a lot of tricks that are employed, and so a lot of designers are very used to this, and they just think like this when they approach a lot of problems.
When we see Pleiadian ships, we see a theater of light, because the Merkaba moving so fast. The Atlantean civilization was the product of Arturian people, but the first Atlantis was not about pyramids. It was about the temple within. They taught us how to relate with the world. Giants were the keepers of that wisdom, that information. The reptilians represented for us the negative and the positive. We will explore in Anunnaki and how this created structure for the humans to transcend.
I just wonder how people think they know everything about all these different alien races and all this. Like, where
have you always wanted to
learn?
learn?
Where do you get this information from? You're reading the fucking the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or something.
but don't know where to start. Would you like to make amazing
projects? But the important thing was they really don't have to think like that anymore. And so this might be something where people never really notice what has changed in terms of a game design perspective. But at the very least, we have a very purposeful example of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, where you see these worlds transfer in a matter of a few seconds. Now, for our final Naughty Dog related news story, we have another example of some talent moving over to this not-so-secret Sony San Diego studio that is working on an unannounced project that many are suspect to be another Uncharted. Could be a new IP. I prefer a new IP, but it's probably another Uncharted based off of all the talent that's getting moved over. But Zach Aller was an environment artist at Naughty Dog for Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted 4, Lost Legacy. Now he's a senior environment artist as recently as June, now at VASG, Visual Arts Service Group. This is the cinematics and motion capture group that is for many Sony first-party developers and second-party, but we know that this team was formed in 2018, so because of that, we have to wait probably another year at minimum before we get any sort of teaser, trailer, or announcement for whatever the studio has been working on. Now moving on to Epic Games, where they've been talking more about Unreal Engine 5 and PS5, and now we've got this rather unusual praise for PS5 coming from Nick Penwarden, the VP of Engineering at Epic, where he was speaking to the official PlayStation magazine, and he had this to say: "The PlayStation 5 is a masterpiece of systems design. Not only is it driving a huge leap in computing and graphics performance, but it is also revolutionary in terms of storage and data compression technology, unlocking new kinds of games and experiences for players to enjoy." The context here, of course, is that speaking to the official PlayStation magazine, so you better believe he has something nice to say about the platform. But just beyond this hypothetical, when we look at what other companies have to say about PS5, where they're more impartial, we can really surmise, and I totally believe at this point, that in all likelihood, if we're really comparing it to, say, Series X, both machines are already very easy to work on. I mean, that was the biggest advancement of the 8th generation of consoles, is based these machines on x86 architectures. But I can totally believe at this point that PS5 is a slightly more developer-friendly environment to work on. Now, another thing that Epic talked about, and this is when they were speaking to PCGamesN.com, is that the geometry rendering budget for that technical demo that we saw for Unreal Engine 5 was about the same as Fortnite running 60 FPS on consoles, which is fantastic. Some people are getting this misconstrued. It's about the efficiency, so it's not as GPU intensive, which is a good segue to our next news story about Lockhart, the lower-priced Microsoft machine that's currently rumored. It's always important to sometimes bring up these bigger Microsoft stories because there's always that slight Sony influence that we can jump off of. But to get us up to speed with this platform, if you have not been keeping up, we've known for a little bit about the targeted specs of this machine, and now we're hearing about when we'll actually see it, which Eurogamer and even Jeff Grubb are hearing that August is when we'll actually see a formal reveal of this machine. But rumors for a long time have already pointed us in a direction that this machine is obviously going to be lower priced. I think Kotaku initially reported that this machine won't have a disk drive, but that's not necessarily confirmed just yet. But specs-wise, it would actually have the same CPU as Series X, which would technically be a faster CPU than PlayStation 5. It would have slightly less RAM. You know, there's a little bit less of an overhead there because GPU is where they're really cutting costs here. It would be around 4 teraflops, which, keep in mind, we're only mentioning the teraflop number here because this is a decent measure for most people to understand. And also, there's some immediate comparisons of, 4 teraflops, that's the same as PS4 Pro, that's less than X1X. This architecture moving forward, the microarchitecture, is RDNA 2, which provides massive efficiency leaps over GCN, which is what we currently use on PS4 Pro, X1, X1X. So 4 teraflops is actually, what this machine can do is actually still going to be quite capable. So it's all about scalability with this machine. There's a lot of misinformation about how this thing could potentially hold back next gen. But basically what Microsoft is proposing to the consumer and compromising with the consumer is that this machine will still produce some very visually stunning looking games, but it will take a resolution hit. It'll probably be a 1080p, 60 FPS machine, probably 1440p for some games.
The most common reaction to a birch arrangement is, I didn't know flowers could look like this. I'm Brittany Ash. I'm a floral artist and the founder and director.
Really depends on the nature of the game, of course, but that would be Microsoft's proposal to excessively buy an next gen, whereas with Sony, they're all PS5s, one just doesn't play discs. That doesn't give Sony a whole lot of room to cut the price in a dramatic fashion. I think it's just going to be $50 like with what we saw on Xbox One S all digital versus the regular Xbox One S, right? It was a $50 deficit. If you go past $50, let's say $100, you have to sell more software, and even accounting for the fact that they're PSN, so that it's more of a cut for Sony, over the lifetime of a console, you never really see an attach rate over, let's say, 8 or 9 games. Some consoles, it's gone over to 10 or 11 games per console, and that's the lifetime of that machine, lifetime of the install base. Sony's just not going to, do that with the all-digital PlayStation 5, so it'll probably be $50. That gives them enough room to see their return on each machine, because inherently it's a brand new hardware launch. All these consoles are going to be sold at a loss just right off the bat, right? But when we look at this Lockhart machine, it's a different scenario where it's taking cuts in other areas. Maybe it won't have a disk drive, but it will also have a less powerful GPU, less RAM. So Microsoft can afford to price this machine at, let's say, $399, which in all likelihood will probably be where that falls to. These are still very capable machines, and they're still already being sold at a loss. So I don't think any lower than $399 makes sense for that machine. So I think what we're really looking at here with the overall hierarchy is $399 for Lockhart. Then you get to $499 or $449, for the all-digital PS5, $499 for Series X and PS5. That's what makes sense to me. I know everyone's getting really caught up in this whole undercutting each other thing, but these are big multi-billion-dollar corporations. I mean, they really can't reasonably, right off the top, take off another $100 off the MSRP of these boxes when they're already going to be losing money at, let's say, $500. Which, while we're talking about price, we can go into our next news story, 100% rumor. I think we're really soul-searching on this one, but a few people are talking about this now, so we'll bring this up. But one Twitter user by the name of Robert Serrano responded to Jeff Grubb's Summer Game Fest, where he flat out said PS5 July 13th will be priced, pre-order, and release date announcement to be confirmed. The reason why this person appears credible is because they actually tweeted out one day prior to the PS5 reveal event. The scheduled event would be July 11th, which turned out to be true, and so some people are assuming that maybe there was something. He does say that he has connections in the entertainment industry, says this event could be a little bit sooner if it's not July 13th, and that it's not an event, so it could be something like a PlayStation blog write-up post, which is not entirely impossible. The problem with something like this is that price announcements for brand new hardware is almost always at E3. If we're going to go off history, this is very traditional, always during E3. We are past E3. So this is unknown waters where who knows when we'll get prices for these machines. You would assume they would coincide with events, so Microsoft doing it either in July for this new round of their game showcase, or August where they'll presumably show Series S, which would probably make more sense for them because they'll show their lineup of consoles, which would be both of them, right? Sony, you would assume for that state of play that we're hearing about in August, but maybe it could be sooner. Nice little July stopgap since they're not going to talk about anything else. I don't really know. This is something, though, where I wouldn't really believe this right off the top, even from this small little piece of evidence. We've had little Twitter situations like this before, and we've done enough of the insider stuff where we see that a lot of it ends up not being true. But every so often, there's always one or two of them that do hit the mark, and so that's why it's still somewhat fun to look at them. For our next news story, this is a really big deal. This transpired yesterday, and not many people are talking about this, but Bloomberg is reporting that Sony is looking to place a bid on the holdings company Liu Technologies, and the timeline that we're seeing here is that negotiations were happening in May, then it fell through because of COVID. Now this deal might actually take place in July, whoever ends up getting it, which Sony's interested, but also iDream Sky, which is another holdings company in China, and one of their investors is Tencent, so they've got a lot of capital, obviously, but the number being tossed around is about $1.23 billion, and Sony's hoping to secure the deal with just a greater path to financing. So if they can secure financing, there's a better security for Liu Technologies that the deal will actually go through if their bid is accepted. But Liu Technologies has 6 subsidiaries. So they have Digital Extremes, Splash Damage, Certain Infinity, which for Certain Infinity they have a 20% stake with an option to buy them out later. Radiance Games, Athlon Games, and Kingmaker Games. So this is a lot. There's a lot part of this deal. The big ones here would be Digital Extremes. They're most known for like Warframe, right? That free-to-play game, but also previous games like The Darkness 2 or Dark Sector. But they've got a really big portfolio. The other big ones, Splash Damage and Certain Infinity. So these two have done a lot of contract work and co-development for Microsoft games. That's Halo, Gears, Certain Infinity did a lot of Call of Duty multiplayer stuff, so they do different components of games, but they don't build all these from the ground up. Well, some of them. But really, they've done a lot of multiplayer stuff. Athlon, Radiance, Kingmaker, they're lesser known, but Athlon Games has a stake in the Telltale game assets, and so that adds an interesting element here. If you remember when Telltale went under and then their assets got sold off, Also, there's a deal with Amazon and Athlon where they're doing a partnership for a free-to-play Lord of the Rings game. So there's a lot of layers here to unpack. This is kind of like another, I don't know, like another Sony Online Entertainment where that particular portion of Sony, when it was a part of Sony, really kind of operated independently, where they did some PlayStation content. Obviously, they did PlayStation games, but also a lot of just straight up PC exclusive releases. They weren't really considered part of Worldwide Studios. And so this kind of acquisition would maybe fall in the same line here, and this would pull a lot of development talent away from Microsoft, acquiring all these very talented multiplayer studios.
This is Corona Hard Seltzer, the only hard seltzer made with pure beach
studios. And also Digital Extremes, of course. They have their place. I mean, I think on the surface, most people would look at this and go, this isn't really a good match. But we've been hearing for a few years now that Sony wants to have a bigger presence in multiplayer content, and clearly they do have single player stuff locked down. They're very committed to the single player AAA narrative driven experience. So carrying this much talent and it requiring this much money is huge. I mean, initially I thought, oh my god, are they really going to do that? Is this really really a report that's accurate? But I don't know, and this has a lot of implications, it really does. And it would be something where a lot of these games that these teams work on, they might just keep doing what they've been doing business as usual, and Sony collects the revenue. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of layers to this that would probably really have to be ironed out if a deal took place. But it's not something we have a lot of time to talk about here, but there's so much more to be said about this potential deal if it goes through. Now, moving on, we've got our first example of a next-generation game being priced at $69.99, a $10 increase here in the U.S. over what we've been used to for well over 14, 15 years now, since the start of the 7th generation of consoles, where games typically are about $60.
Yo, that's the way to do it, bro. How you came in 6th place
$70 on PS5
in 200 quads?
2K has already been pretty forward, saying they feel that version of the game warrants
by
a
yourself
price increase. Also, for next-gen upgrades, they won't offer them
Man, sound my ninja.
or Series X first start delivery, but they will offer it if you pay $100 for the Mamba Forever Edition. That's the one with Kobe Bryant, and if you buy that version, you'll be entitled.
I really don't like Warzone without a squad. Like, if I'm not going in there with a squad, like just trying to jump in there and play with randoms, I'll play solos. I'd rather just play by my damn self. Yeah, fuck that. The random squads, motherfuckers don't communicate. Nobody want to talk. Everybody out for themselves. This is a team-based game. A communication-based game. What do we get? No communication. No teamwork. Everybody's fucking hiding me. You never catch me, bitches. Yeah, Warzone is fun as shit, yo. I mean, I clocked mad hours on that shit right before The Last of Us came out. Actually, that was the only game I played for a couple weeks before The Last of Us came out. And now, I'll probably play Last of Us until I beat that shit, go back to fucking Warzone, and wait for fucking Cyberpunk to come out. When does that shit drop? I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I'll probably just go ahead and pre-order a digital copy. Cyberpunk. My damn. This is. I might have to end the stream real quick. Hmm. Just check some text messages. I forgot I have a meeting tonight, and I don't have any material ready for my meeting tonight. I definitely got to print out some shit. And then I got a couple other errands. I don't know. I started my day kind of late. I meant to have shit done already, and then I added something else to my agenda for the day that I wasn't planning on doing, but it shouldn't take a long time, so shit. But I gotta have this shit together by 6 o'clock, which is what, 6 hours. That actually popped up on my suggestions. Was Angry Joe's review. That's like one of the first things I saw, and I'm trying so hard not to watch anything about The Last of Us until I finish it. I swear it's just like and I watch a lot of, matter of fact, Angry Joe is who I got the spoilers from when the spoilers and the leaks first came out. Like, and I heard a couple of people saying something, and I was like, you know what? Let me see what Angry Joe says. But Joe and his homeboy Joe, and then the other guy, I forgot the other guy's name. But what about Dr. Disrespect? That motherfucker got banned from from Twitch. About 4, 5 cats off in my leg now. Just shooting game in the form of story raps now. It's like that now. It's like that now. Do-no-no, do-no-no-no-no-no, no-no-no-no. Better go get the hump about your back now. About 4, 5 cats off in my leg now. Just shoot game in the form of story raps now. It's like that now. It's like that now. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh, I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. My baby's mamas who don't like me. She do everything like trying to have them boys come to the studio try to fight me. And you and your girl ain't speaking no more cause my dick all in her mouth. What? What? Let bygones be bygones. Go ahead, get the hell on. You and your mama. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. But I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for... Okay. Cause you can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. If I line fine, the quickest muzzle throw it on my mouth and I decline. Queen meets king, then the puppy love dream. No, king meets queen, then the puppy love thing. Together dream about the crib with the Goodyear swing on the oak tree. I hope we feel like this forever, forever, ever, forever, ever, forever, ever. Forever never seems that long until you're grown. And you know the day by day ruler just can't be wrong. You know, Miss Jackson, I wish I could abracadabra the sadder parts of me, thoughts of he, thoughts of she had. I prayed about it so much I need some knee pads. And yes, know that everything's cool. And yes, I will be present on the first day of school and graduation. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. And I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real.
If you manage a team, you should be using Monday.com. It's a platform to manage any team and any project.
Yeah, this one right here goes out to all
Baby mamas. Baby mamas, mamas. Baby mamas, mamas. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. Hey, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. Mamas, try to fight me. That's my house. I disconnect the cable, turn the lights out. Let her know her grandchild is a baby, not a paycheck. Private school, daycare, shit, medical bills, I pay that. I love your mom and everything. See, I ain't the one to lay down. You wanna rip you up, start a custody war, my lawyer, stay down. She never got a chance to hear my side of the story. We was divided. She had fish fries and cookouts for my child's birthday. I invited. I show her the upwards respect when I fall through. All you was defend that lady when I call you. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am, yeah. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. Hey, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. Me and your daughter got this thing going on. You say it's puppy love, we say it's full grown. Hope that we feel this way forever. You can plan a pretty picnic, but you can't predict the weather. Sometimes out of line, the every wine fine. The quickest muzzle, throw it on my mouth, then I decline. King meets queen, then the puppy look things together. Dream about that crib with the good years of swing. On the oak tree, I hope we feel like this forever. Forever, never seems that long until you're grown. And understand that day by day ruler can't be too wrong. Jackson, my intentions were good, I wish I could. Become a magician, the abracadabra, all the sadder. Thoughts of me, thoughts of she, thoughts of he. Asking what happened to the building that he had. I prayed about it, God, I need some knee pads. And that's the reason one can't be mad. So just know that everything's cool. And yes, I will be present on the first day of school and graduation. Sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Hey, never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. Look at the way you treat me. Shit, look at the way you treat me. Skill and no damn hunger. You got gas enough to grip G. Without a paddle, you left straddle, right everything on out. And you and your girl speaking about my dick up and I'm out. That's my jealousy, infidelity, envy, cheating, beating, and the N to the G, they be the same thing. You play the flame on. You keep on singing the same song like bygones be bygones. You go and get the hell I want you and your mama. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologize 1,000,000,000 times. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make. Alright, y'all don't know about that. Greatest hits. The greatest hits. of the 2000s. I think that was the 90s still. I'm a 90s type cat, yeah. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Ooh. And I'm for real, yo. I ain't meant to make your daughter cry. And I apologize a trillion times. But I always start handing out ambience and Twitter accounts, nigga. Who wants some? Don't get caught up. Say some shit to get you canceled, nigga. Don't get canceled. Or worse. This shit affecting people's livelihoods. Don't lose your job behind saying some dumb shit. Excuse me. Local Burger King restaurant. Did you know you had a racist employee? A racist employee? How did you know? Oh, he came into my stream. Telling me I should pick cotton. William Wigley, you're hereby fired. Bounce, bounce, bounce. We're bouncing now. Where was I at? Oh, I was working over here.
What makes a business a business? It's
minding your own business, nigga. That old El Dorado.
That LTD, Lincoln Town car. From that El Dorado funk. I'm talking about gangsta shit.
What you really want to know about some gangster shit? What you really want to know about some gangster shit? What you really want to know about some gangster shit? Outkast, get a mob and a dirty click. What you really want to know about some gangster shit? Would you really? Yeah. I be trying to tell people, man, this is the shit that I listened to growing up. That's why my mentality is different from the young cats, because you can listen to the shit they listen to now and what's absorbed in their minds and what they think is creative and being able to flow and rap and ride a beat or whatever they call that shit nowadays. The shit is just different. It sounds different. The way they put that shit together is different. I don't like it. I'd rather listen to the shit that I grew up listening to. All this new shit, I feel like a real old person saying that shit though, man, but this new music is trash as fuck.
LTD, Lincoln Town Car.
You don't know about that Lincoln Town Car, El Dorado funk, nigga.
I'm talking about gangsta shit.
Gangsta, real gangsta shit. Nigga.
This is what I wanna know.
You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? Outkast with a mob and a gun split. You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? O-B-G-K-N-L-T O-N-N-T O-N-N-T So fresh, so clean, that bitch make all your legend family. Girl, Cadillac on this and both the box t-shirt and Nicky. It's the return of Billy Ocean. Quavo is my trick. Same thing means you got the money. It's though it's here on the street. 3G's each and big my and this is E-B-O-N-E. You need some backup, find your own. No good won't give you free at home. Just tell her these hoes wanna be on the same team that she's playing on. You really wanna know about some extra shit? You really wanna know about some extra shit? You really wanna know about some extra shit? Outkast with your mom in the dungeon clip. You really wanna know about some extra shit? You really wanna know about some extra shit? You really wanna know about some extra shit? It is how nigga we straight get the head. Throw one to the trap like stack and go. If we come around, can't let it go. I'm a bunch legit, I'ma let you know. Round real good, I'm national. It's trap low. Too bad you was bad. It's natural. Put cheese in the stay untaxable. Fuck on the get mad. Had to watch myself, got eyes to a bag. Don't take no slap. If you're mad in the trap, every front workout, gotta get it right back. I trap my day while I rap my night. See on in this bitch, got a control time. You really wanna know about some extra shit? You really wanna know about some extra shit? You really wanna know about some extra shit? Outkast with your mom in the dungeon clip. You really wanna know about some extra shit? Hey, do you really wanna know about some extra shit? Hey, do you really wanna know about some extra shit? It is how nigga we straight gangsta man. Don't give a fuck, niggas know what's up. If you throwing up cans in your back of my truck, we got this little problem that we got to solve. It's like it ain't about the money, but they got the job. No colors for bad, this is good for bad. Not scared for black. If you know that, when you done this clip, just do the link. Now what you really wanna know about some gangsta shit? 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 Outkast with your mom in the dungeon clip. You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? You really wanna know about some gangsta shit? It is how nigga we straight gangsta man. Back on the scene, the stack is great. Sitting on throne and rubber bands. Cake looking like Candyland. Slim, the Southpaw Breaker man. Lifting, working, whipping, weight. Rock a roll and get the pace. Chops and rolls and then you skate. Back to the block with the plate. Ram the hole, slam the hole. The young nigga holding, big face folding. Piercing on, catch a runaway. Good hustlers on to keep his gun away. First nigga run up and try to jack mine. First nigga fuck up to get black line. Pack still stainless, Gutenberg brainless. Y'all don't wanna fuck with me. The truck keep banging, all the chain dangling. Y'all know that I'm from CP. Quick be a good boy, shot the reverse. Let's put it up, that's pretty nurse. Hey, really wanna know about some gangsta shit? Really wanna know about some gangsta shit? Do you really wanna know about some gangsta shit? Outkast with your mom in the dungeon clip. Do you really wanna know about some gangsta shit? Do you really wanna know about some gangsta shit? Niggas are hard. Harder than a nigga trying to impress God. Pull your card.
Still take my guitar and take a walk in the park. And play the sweetest melody the street ever heard. Now bitches sucking on my nails and I'm eating their bird get full. And niggas pop, lock to the beat, gas, real big force. When I was out, about to myself, it was for the real outside. We'll put it like this, it's like we shot some dope because my girlfriend. shot. Wrong reason, whatever the season. Hit when the spring, summer, or fall, I don't stop. Go drag with your brain against the wall. Yeah, nigga, no. Lean to the side, don't fall. All y'all, fuck boys, tuck toys inside your pants. Just to pull it out, point it at the ground, and make a nigga wanna dance. When that beat up, on that reaper, on that Tupac in front of the food watch. Run the show out, start the whole route, talking loud, talking about that's gangsta shit. Bum 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 bum. Niggas will never be as gangster as the 90s babies or 80s babies who grew up in the 90s. Never be as gangster. Do you really? Yeah. Do you really want to know about some gangster shit? Fire. Sorry. I might have to go. What time is it? I'll make an hour in here, but then I gotta go do this fucking computer work stuff. Dang it, man. It's only just looking up some different things and printing out, like, for the meeting this evening. It's not like finalizing anything. We're really just still in the preliminary phases of putting together our next, well, not the project we want. Is the conception is already there. We just have to like put together our outline and what's that shit you give students? Your itinerary? No, what the fuck? Anyway, whatever. Why can't I think of the fucking word? I hate these brain farts. But all I gotta do is like come to the table this evening with ideas of what can be in the project or which direction the project should go. And then we're gonna like flesh those ideas out and see what sticks and what doesn't stick. But I still need to like print some stuff out, some visual aids, and some poems and stuff. Or even, I don't know, I'm pretty sure that I was thinking about taking my laptop, but then like go and take my laptop and then have to ask for their Wi-Fi passcode and do all that shit, whereas then I could just print the shit out here and take it with me. But then at the same time, it's like I know they got laptops and Wi-Fi and shit, so maybe I don't even have to print some shit. I can just go there and be like, yo, where's your laptop? And let's pull up some shit on their screen. I'm trying to find a way to be lazy, is basically what I'm saying. I can't be too lazy because this is a paid project that we're trying to get together, paid for with grant money. So gotta get these grants, but in order to get the grants, you gotta have a legit project or program put together. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to just, you know, get all our guidelines and everything down, so when we submit for the grant, you won't have to like question too much if we're gonna get it or not.
Because in our area, there's very few organizations that work heavily in the arts, especially visual arts. But there's tons of funding for visual arts, and not a lot of people doing it. So normally as long as you come together with a nice proposal for a program, and you got your grant is written out, your grant request is written out nice and neat and everything, we don't get denied a lot of grant proposals. Not for this organization that I'm going to be working with. Like they normally pass it along because they normally pass the money along because they know like this organization does what they say they do with the money. You know what I'm saying? We have tons of programs and tons of students are involved, and there's actual art that's made at the end as proof, like, you know, we did what we said we were going to do with the money that you invested into our program. Alright. Didn't realize I had the day off. It's broad fucking daylight, bro. It's broad daylight. Why are you shooting fireworks right now? It's fucking not even 1 o'clock in the afternoon yet. And this bitch this person, Ye-O of Little Home Training, is in broad daylight annoying the fuck out of me. Why, you say? Why must you ask? Have the slightest goddamn idea. You know you like it. So I say, don't try to find it. You know you got nothing. So I say. ASAP. Nigga try to play me. I'm put to the test ASAP.
Hey, take a Bud Light Seltzer.
Sure thing.
What's this?
It's Bud Light Seltzer Mango.
Sip initiated.
Shall we look?
ASAP, nigga. Yeah. ASAP. ASAP. ASAP.
And if a nigga try to play me, I'm bustin' home. No security, reaching for my jewelry. Get your niggas pop quick, feel full of hot shit. Fresh out the box till hot, then I drop 6. Made a $250,000 in the pen, getting stop till. Haters wanna stop till, mad cause they not till. Ball every summer, so your baby mama job till. You don't want no drama, pepper promise I do not steal. Chrome 4 pills, here real in the cop strip. I'm a girl of mama with the chrome right in front of that. 5 cash stone with the platinum on the under that. Rap beef, I ain't gonna participate in none of that. I'm aiming at your kitty cap, you ain't gonna with none of that. A nigga try to play me, I'ma blow him off the map. ASAP. Ask anybody who running AG, but they gonna say me. ASAP. Niggas hanging on VSC, get straight. ASAP. A nigga try to play me, I'ma blow him off the map. ASAP. I know a lot of rappers don't like me, but they won't fight me. They swear I said dope, but why they wanna guide me? Asses on the throne, I ain't never take a night. But all that tongue wrestling, hating while I'm broke, don't excite me. How many rappers you know that can hold they on the right street? These stay talking on the cell phone nightly. Normal population half the jail just like me. Police is think I'm crazy, scared a nigga gon' strike. Contrarily, a nigga trying me is unlikely. They barking, don't bother me, I be bumming on they bite me. They just shot to see my raps exactly how my life be. Shiesty, with a conversation quite pricey. My spit so rocky and my wrist so icy. Might be thrown off my rocker just slightly. Feisty, claiming hot temper, don't ignite me. I'm only gonna ask you find the exit what's polite. Hey, a nigga try to play me, I'ma blow him off the map. ASAP. Ask anybody who running AG, but they gonna say me. ASAP. Niggas hanging on VSC, get straight. ASAP. Niggas try to play me, I'ma blow 'em off the map. ASAP. To the man of the people, my plan is to keep you at least 2 levels under me where I need you. I'ma take advantage of my chance to defeat you. Your true colors the shown ass on when I see you. I'm grown, nigga, so let it be known we ain't equal. You're sadly mistaken if you're thinking I can't reach you. Beat you to a fucking pulp if I need to. The very spot you're standing in, then is where I leave you. Seen on the scene, white tees and diesels. OG status, I don't beat unless I need to. Since you ain't out of line and you running out of time, hang behind closed doors when you heard I got some time. Yeah, I know you were thinking out of sight and out of mind, but I'm the wrong one for you to try if you trying to shine. Listen, nigga, this shit here is more than just a lot of rhymes. I don't know what you do for your respect, but I'm a guy for mine. Hey, a nigga try to play me, I'ma blow him off the map. ASAP. Ask anybody who running AG, but they gonna say me. ASAP. Niggas hanging on VSC, get straight. ASAP. A nigga try to play me, I'ma blow him off the map. ASAP.
I'm gonna blow him off the map. ASAP. These niggas trying to play me, I'ma blow him off the map. ASAP. Damn. I have to grab the littler brush. Now it's starting to warm up in here. I gotta check my Facebook Messenger to see if somebody hit me back for one of these AC units. I said I'm about to leave out the house in a minute and run a couple errands. Damn, it'd be nice if I can go pick that AC up while I'm out. You feel me? Shit, if nobody don't hit me up soon, I'm gonna just have to go goddamn buy a new one. New AC ain't cheap though. It's just like $200. But is $200 worth my comfort? I think so. I think $200 is well within my comfort zone. Alright guys, so we got a little bit of details added to the fringe, to the earring here, to some more of the lace and fringe work here, and right underneath the front. So let me get some other shit done. Hopefully I can be back in here a little while later. I would say I need to work on that one some more, but I'm still not sure what I'm gonna do with the background for that piece. So I gotta think on that a little bit more. So I'll probably just continue to work on this later this evening. I really just want to get one of these shits knocked out so I can get paid. Finish getting paid for it. And this one is the more expensive one, and I started it first, so I really would like to finish this one first. Get that nice chunk of change in my account. They breathing the old user's dust. Never thought about that. Have to blow that shit out. Alright. Hey, appreciate everybody chilling in here with me. What is this, Friday? So I might be back up here later on. Like I said, I just got some other stuff. I really need to get prepared for this meeting this evening. I got to check my schedule too. I was thinking we had a Black Scranton meeting coming up soon. It might be Sunday, I think. I'm not sure yet, but got to check into that. Just got to do some chores around the house, run a couple of errands, get this information together for this meeting tonight. Then what else? Some dinner. It's gonna be a full day, guys. Anyway, y'all keep it easy till I see y'all next time. Peace.